just the graph questions, girls, right? Okay, I'm going to ask you to draw a graph. You'll be either asked to draw this, you'll be asked to draw this, a line going this way, or a line coming that way, right? Okay, or a cubic equation, right, which should end up looking like something like that, right? Or it might end up finishing on a downward, so that means it starts high, so something like that. Okay, so there are the 4 types of graphs, right, that I'm going to ask you. I think there's 2 graphs on it, so there's 2 out of the, 6, I can't count. So there's 2 out of the 6 there, okay? So out of the 2 out of the 6, there will be 2 out of the 6 on the test, right? And there's no paper now, you have to get your own paper, so if you have a sum copy, use the sum copy because it's easier to draw graphs on a sum copy, right? Okay, just if you boxy paper, root it out somewhere for the test tomorrow because there's obviously no paper, you'll be reading it off a computer screen, right? Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask you is where does f of x equal 0, right? And that's the magic question, where does it cross the x-axis? So you tell me what that point is. You tell me what that point is. Or that point. Or that point. Or here, it'd be this point. There's only 1. So there's 2 here, 2 answers, 2 answers, 1 answer. Right? Here, there's going to be 3 answers. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2, and 3. Okay? I'm asking you to draw 2 graphs, and I've asked you that question on both graphs. Okay? So you need to make sure, if you get it wrong, I think I'll come out to your house and beat you up and down the road. Right? Okay, I just said that live on camera. Oh God, I'm going to be good to jail. Right, okay, anyway, number 2 is I'm going to ask you to find something like f of 2. Now, f of 2 is the numbers in the bracket. So if it's in the bracket, that means it's x. So that means x is 2. So if I'm telling you x, I'm looking for y, okay? So I'm saying here's x, find me y, okay? So you go to the x-axis, you go to 2 on the x-axis, so if it was this one here, you go to 2 on the x-axis, you get your ruler, you draw a line up or down to hit the graph, so in this case it's up, right, you go across and you read off that number, okay? If it was x is 2 down here, you go to 2, you draw a line up to hit the graph, draw a line across and read off that number. If it was over here, it would be draw a line down, right, because that's where the graph is, draw a line across and read off that number. Okay, so I'm going to tell you x and I'm going to ask you for y. Okay, that's the second type of question I'm going to ask you, right? The third type of question I'm going to ask you is, here's y. So I might say y is equal to 4. So if I'm telling you y, I'm asking you for x. So you go to 4 on the y-axis. So the y-axis is the vertical axis, so you go to 4. You draw a line across to hit the graph. Now just be careful, girls. If you go both directions, you will hit it. So you have to go both directions. Excuse me. So you draw a line across, hit the graph, draw a line down and read off that number and read off that number, and that's your answer. Here at 4, draw a line across, draw 2 lines down because that's where, and there are your 2 answers, right? If it's on the line, you're obviously just going to hit it once, so there's 1 answer, right? If it's on a curve, girls, you could hit it 3 times, right? So you could hit it 3 times. You could hit it here, here, and here. So there's an answer, there's an answer, there's an answer. Also, you could hit it once. It depends on where it is. Okay? So, right, so that's the third type of question I'm going to ask you. And the fourth type of question I'm going to ask you is the minimum or the maximum. So the minimum there, the maximum there. Or if it's in the case of the cubic ones, I might ask you what's the maximum turning point, what's the minimum turning point. So the turning points are here and here. It's where the graph turns to go the opposite direction. So there's 2 turning points. this is the maximum, it's up high. This is the minimum, it's down low, right? Here, there's your turning points here and here. This is the max, this is the min, right? Okay. What else have I? Yeah. I might ask you for the minimum value as opposed to the minimum point. So the minimum point would be, in this case, it'd probably be 0 minus 4. Okay. So just say that's the minimum point. But I ask you for the minimum value, you just tell me the y value, you tell me minus 4. Okay, so if this one, you know, in the cubic, they'll ask you for the points, right? So it's only here, right? That if you're asked for a minimum point, you say 0 minus 4. If you're asked for the minimum value, you just give the y value. Okay, right? That's from the graphing. That's all you need from the graphing. Okay, from the last chapter, girls, you need that silly triangle. And you need that magic button on the calculator with all the commas on it. Okay, so you need the magic button on the calculator that turns everything into hours and minutes for you. Okay, right? So make sure you know how to use that. Okay, and from chapter 6, girls, I'll just do an example of something you might be asked from chapter 6. Just give me a minute. So I might tell you f of x is equal to 3x minus 1, and I might tell you g of x is equal to 5x plus 2, and I'll ask you to find f of 1. Okay, so f of 1 means into f, everywhere you see an x, put a 1. So f of 1 is 3 times 1 minus 1 into the calculator, that, and your answer is 2. Right? I might ask you to find g of minus 4. Okay? So that means into g, everywhere I see an x, put in a minus 4. So that's 5 times minus 4 plus 2, which is minus 18. That's your answer there. Okay? They're just the single ones. Right, these ones, f g of minus 2. Right? See, f g of minus 2. You read this as f after g. Right? So that's what's understood. F after g of minus 2. So f after g means you do g first. So the first thing you do is you do g of minus 2. So f after g, so do g first, g of minus 2. So that means into g, everywhere I see an x, put in a minus 2. So it's 5 times minus 2 plus 2. Right? 5 times minus 2 is minus 10. Minus 10 plus 2 is minus 8. Okay? You do that in a calculator. Okay? Now, what you do then, now I have to do f. So you take the answer from the first bit and you put it into f. So f of minus 8. So you take your answer from the first bit and you put it into f, right? Which would be 3 times minus 8 minus 1, which is minus 23. Okay? And that's your overall answer. That's the final answer. Okay? So you do the first bit, get an answer, use that and put it into the second function. Okay? Now if it's something like I do g f of x, right? G f of x, right, guys? That just means, actually before I do that, if I asked you for something like f of k, right? So f of a letter instead of f of 1, that just means into f, everywhere I see an x, write a k. So that would be 3 times k minus 1. Because it was 3x minus 1, now it's 3k minus 1. If I asked you to get f of k plus 1 into, I'm kind of gone backwards now a bit, but I forgot to do this. Everywhere I see an x up here, instead of the x, put in a k plus 1. So that would be 3x, so it's 3 times k plus 1, and then a minus 1. It's 3x minus 1. And then you multiply it out and tidy it up. So 3 by k is 3k, 3 by 1 is 3, and there's a minus 1 at the end. So that would be 3k plus 2. That's your answer. Okay? Right. That's just if you have to put in letters into them. Right. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to where I was. So I'm just going to, actually, I'll just write it out again on a new board. So if f of x was 3x minus 1, and g of x is equal to 5x plus 2. Right, and I asked you for f, no, I won't do f g of x, I'll do g f of x. So that reads as g after f. So you have to do f of x first. So that means into f, everywhere you see an x, put in an x, but it's done for you. So f of x means into f, everywhere you see an x, put in an x, so it's just as it is. Okay? So then you take your answer. So the answer is 3x minus 1. So you put the answer into g. So you get g of 3x minus 1. Okay? So that means into g, instead of x, I'm going to write 3x minus 1. So it was 5x, which is a 3x minus 1 now. And then it's a plus 2. And then you multiply out, that's 15x minus 5 plus 2. So that would be 15x minus 3. Okay, and that's your final answer. Okay? Right. Yeah, I think that's all. I can just do more questions for you if you have them, or I can leave you off to do revision. You tell me what you want from me. Does anyone have any questions for me? Is anyone out there?
No.
No, thank God, someone's out there. Right, no one has any questions for me, no? Right, no. Can I just say the test is easy because it's not exam questions, it's just questions I got out of the book because, why am I doing that? Because things are hard enough. I don't want to freak you out altogether, okay? So they're kind of straightforward enough questions, so don't be worried about the twist in the question, there isn't any. Right, they're straightforward. If you can do the ones in the book, you can do the test. Okay? Yeah. Thursday girls, I'll put up a link and I'll come on live. But if you've no questions from me, you needn't turn up. Right? Is that okay? So on Thursday, just come. I'll put on a link and I'll be here. And anyone who has a question that they were practicing on, they can't do, right, come on to the meeting and I'll do it on the meeting. But if you're fine with everything, there's no need. Okay? Right? Why did I say Thursday? I meant Wednesday. I'm confused. I meant Wednesday. You're getting the text on Thursday. Right. I'm confused.
Thank you.
Right. Okay?
Thank you.
Right. Head up. So, bye.
Thank you. Thank you.